Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. My name is Paul Zoda, and I'm a solutions architect for Rahi Systems, specializing in cybersecurity. I have 12 years of experience in the security space, architecting, installing, and configuring cybersecurity solutions for a variety of companies, from the SMB market all the way up to Fortune 100 organizations. And that includes protecting networks of two of the top 5 defense contracting organizations. So today we will be discussing the Darktrace Enterprise Immune System, which uses AI to detect and respond to anomalies without the use of signatures that elude legacy systems. So, as we've seen over the years, the threat landscape is constantly evolving and it's outpacing the detection ability of legacy solutions. We're seeing outsourced IT for managed services that are using attack detection methods that do a really good job of protecting known attacks. But when it comes to 0 days and APTs, they can sometimes fall short. Also, attacks are far more sophisticated than the older attacks of just data breaches using exploits and defaced websites. We're seeing insider threats, and the majority of security incidents originate from within the organization through employees, contractors, and other business associates with access to internal systems. Commonly, employees expose their companies to threats without malicious intent, such as using an unauthorized file transfer service, sharing credentials with an internal party, or downloading unauthorized software, or maybe just visiting the wrong website. There are slow and low attacks, and these persist inside the network for a long time, and their actions are very slight and subtle. Lying in the noise of the network, these attacks may only take actions for a few milliseconds every day, slowly leaking intellectual property of an organization. And for example, an advanced strain of keylogger malware can modify itself to avoid detection and dynamically change its threat signature without triggering any suspicion. Attacks are constantly emerging, and since these attacks have never been seen before, they can evade traditional security solutions. And now there are even machine-on-machine attacks that use AI and machine learning for advanced attacks. AI can be used to create fake synthetic fingerprints, aka master prints, that trick the biometric fingerprint matching technology found in many mobile devices. So a little bit about the enterprise immune system. Darktrace self-learns the environment in real time and is creating statistical models for every user, every device, and every network using AI. This solution uses unsupervised machine learning algorithms to analyze network data at scale and makes billions of probability-based calculations. So this approach allows it to establish an evolving understanding of what is normal behavior pertaining to devices, users, and networks, and it detects deviations from this evolving pattern of life that may point to a developing threat. It can detect and respond to all threat types, including insider threats, data exfiltration, IoT hacks, and even detecting supply chain threats. Now, another great feature of Darktrace is that it gives you 100% visibility of your network. And when Rahi Systems first deployed Darktrace, we had no way of identifying rogue devices that were not sanctioned by IT, such as iPads and mobile phones. Well, Darktrace identified every device in our network and allows users to visualize the network using their UI, and I'm going to show that in the demonstration. It's also very scalable for the SMB market, all the way to Fortune 100 organizations, and can scale to millions of devices. The solution is deployed on premise by utilizing an appliance that receives all network traffic via span, port, or tap. Virtual and cloud sensors can also be deployed to protect virtual networks, cloud computing of AWS, GCP, etc., and can even protect software as a service applications. So Darktrace finds threats that go undetected by legacy systems. In 2017, we saw the return of the network worm, malware that replicates itself to spread to other computers. The WannaCry ransomware attacks spread so quickly because they were self-propagating as a worm. After the initial infection had taken place, the code spread from computer to computer across organizations globally. It also detects exfiltration of sensitive data by insiders through its unique patterns of life for every user, device, and network. And during our proof of value, Darktrace discovered large data transfers being sent to China. Turns out that Rahi Systems has an office in China, so although nothing malicious was occurring, Darktrace was able to identify the potential threat. It also detects attacks on devices that elude legacy systems, such as hacked IoT devices, video conferencing systems, and attacks on physical security, such as biometric scanners and badge readers. And additionally, it can detect irregular VPN access for remote users and sites. So a little bit about the technology architecture. Darktrace provides real-time coverage for a variety of inputs, including physical, virtual, cloud, SaaS, and email. And there's even a full packet capture capability, so you can provide forensic analysis of threats by utilizing tools such as Wireshark. Now, some of the core principles of Darktrace's unsupervised machine learning are one, it learns what is normal within a network on the job. It also does not depend upon knowledge of any previous attacks. It thrives on scale, complexity, and diversity of modern businesses where every device and user is unique. It also turns the innovation of attackers against them, so unusual activity is visible. Also, it constantly revises assumptions about behavior using probabilistic mathematics, and it's always up to date and not reliant on any human input. The impact of Darktrace's unsupervised machine learning on cybersecurity is really transformative. Its cyber AI technology has quickly proved itself capable of seeing undiscovered cyber events from a variety of threat sources, which would otherwise have gone unnoticed. And Darktrace also uses deep learning to enhance modeling processes. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and it uses cascading interactions of layered mathematical processes known as neural nets to give intelligent systems a higher degree of insight. Multi-layered neural nets can improve the detection and remediation of certain threats. For example, in the identification of DNS anomalies, which are less effectively tracked by other machine learning methods, Darktrace's deep learning system assigns a score to all DNS data from a device with the purpose of identifying suspicious activity even faster. I really like this feature. Darktrace has an autonomous response system that mitigates threats in real time, and it's called Antigena. After an attack has been detected, Darktrace uses TCP resets and vendor-dependent firewall integrations to immediately block the attack. And the TCP resets are sent to both the source and destination of a connection, and then it spoofs the other endpoint's IP addresses. And then on the right, the threat visualizer, we will be showing that in the demonstration, and there's a really nice GUI for it. So we've got a case study using Darktrace. There's a North American casino that installed this high-tech fish tank with advanced sensors that automatically regulates temperature and feeding schedules. So to ensure these communications remain separate from the commercial network, the casino configured the task to use an individual VPN to isolate the fish tank's data. When Darktrace was installed, it identified anomalous data transfer from one of the corporate devices to a rare external destination. And it turns out that this device in question was in fact connected to the fish tank. The tank's communication patterns included sporadic communications with the company's computers, but this activity was in line with similarly configured IoT devices. The external data transfers, however, were deemed highly unusual by Darktrace's AI, and by analyzing the anomaly in real time, Darktrace quickly discovered that 10 gigabytes of data was being transferred to a device in Finland, where an attacker had managed to gain control of the fish tank. So while this inventive attack was able to evade casino's security controls, its subtle activities were detected by Darktrace, allowing the casino security team to secure the device further and stop the attack from progressing. So Darktrace is really easy to install, very simple to get it up and running in operation. There's a self-configuring appliance. So you connect it to a SPAN port or a tap on your network. It then phones home and downloads all the configuration information necessary. And it's automatically learning what's normal and it's baselining behavior for every user, every device, and every network. And you don't need to install the GUI. It's a SaaS application accessible through a web browser, and you can get results from day one. And also, Darktrace has hundreds of different models, which it's constantly performing algorithms on, and there are no custom models that are required. So Rahi Systems is offering a free network assessment, absolutely no obligation, and it's a 4-week trial. And to install the device, like I said, it only takes an hour, very minimal time on your organization. And every week we'll come in and present threat intelligence reports. We've got analysts that are taking a look at all of the data and presenting this into report format. So what we're gonna do is show you what we found and how we found it, and the appliance is deployed in your environment, and it's really a joint commitment. We want to work together with you to determine the likelihood of a compromise. So I highly encourage to inquire about this free network assessment, and we'd be happy to go through and perform the assessment and work with you. And at this point, I want to show Darktrace's Threat Visualizer GUI. So we'll get on to a demonstration. So this is Darktrace's Threat Visualizer GUI. And what we're seeing here is a geographical map. And there are a number of cubes here. Each of the cubes represent different sensors that are collecting information. And the colors in blue represent normal activity, and yellow is something that is suspicious that should be investigated. And if there were anything in red, that's definitely indicative of an attack. On the left, what we see are the number of patterns of life that Darktrace is analyzing. So these are connections for every user, every device, every network. So there's about 1.4 million patterns of life that Darktrace is analyzing and using in its statistical models, performing AI, and looking for model breaches. Beneath that are the number of subnets that have been detected, as well as the number of devices. And what I like is the devices are broken down into servers, clients, and then also the number of user credentials that have been seen. Beneath that, there's a graph, and this shows all aggregated traffic across all of the sensors. So you can see data flow and traffic in a graph view here. And beneath that is Antigena, which is Darktrace's autonomous response capability. So there are currently 43 devices that are being controlled by Antigena, and there have been over 2,200 actions taken where Antigena has blocked malicious activity. So you can drill down here. We'll take a look at this particular subnet, and these are, I should say sensor, and these are all of the different subnets contained within. Again, the blue colors are normal activity, but we can take a look at this one in yellow, and you can analyze it further. So you've got a visual display of traffic from the subnets out to the internet. And each of the stars represent end devices. So you can click on these to get more information, hover over it to get some highlighted data. And on the right shows statistics for all of the subnets, particular subnet, as well as connection status, normal traffic versus unusual traffic. And here are all of the devices that Darktrace has seen. So you can click on these to drill down even further, followed by subnets, networks, protocols, TCP versus UDP, and then also a breakdown of all the application layer protocols. One feature that I really like is Darktrace's search capability. So here you can search on users, devices, networks. So we can search for a particular user. Here is Ruth, and we can click on the server that she has logged into. And here we see the server. You can hover over that, as well as all of the devices. And if you want to look at traffic that has been transferred from the server to a device, both egress and ingress, you can click on the little triangle and see all traffic for that. Now, the most important part of this GUI is at the bottom. This is a threat tray. And what it'll show you is model breaches that have occurred and the type of model breach. So the numbers indicate how many times the model has been breached. There's some unusual activity here and some other breaches. You can also view this in a variety of different ways. You can look at this from devices and the overall score, as well as users. So you can drill down into a particular user that has had a model breach. We'll go back to models and select this unusual activity model breach. And it's occurred 3 times. What you can do is click on the magnifying glass and get a visual of the traffic at the time of the attack. So Darktrace has a TiVo-like capability, and it will go to the moment when the attack has happened, show you the traffic. You can rewind by a minute, 10 minutes, an hour, or on the right, you can fast forward to the present time. By selecting the lines icon, you can see the different events. And actually, this is perfect timing because you can see the line that turned more thick. That means there was more data traffic and transfer occurring. And now there are a number of SMB writes, which looks like it's attempt at ransomware trying to encrypt traffic. You'll notice the line then went to green. Green means Darktrace's autonomous response, Antigena, kicked in, and that attack has effectively been mitigated. There are also some additional features. So there's an advanced search where you can chain together different fields and perform Boolean operators on them. And also you can perform full packet captures and analyze that data in Wireshark. And if you want a holistic view of everything that's happening, you can select the dynamic threat dashboard. And this is a combination of multiple screens in one single pane of glass that you can see. So I'd like to end on the capability of reporting. So if you select reporting here and executive level report, you can get the report for a time period. The last 7 days is highlighted. And then you click on generate report. A PDF file is immediately created. You don't have to wait too long for this to occur. And here we see model breaches based on the attack phase, whether it was exploit, reconnaissance, lateral movement. Scrolling down a little lower, you can see top devices by overall score. Also, top devices breaching high priority models. So definitely these are devices that you'll want to investigate using the visualizer and get more detailed information, as well as some compliance information. So just a quick little tour, and wanted to show the threat visualizer GUI. And at this point, I would like to open up the webinar to any questions you may have.
There are a lot of security vendors that include AI in their solutions. What are the specifics of Darktrace's AI algorithms?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So some of the other cyber solutions, they're solely using supervised machine learning. And the problem with that is data relating to historical attacks does not necessarily protect future ones. And using unsupervised machine learning instead allows the system to uncover rare and previously unseen threats. Also, Darktrace uses deep learning techniques to supplement its AI engine. Darktrace is deployed extensively in thousands of real-world network environments, feeding Darktrace's neural nets, which allow the power of unsupervised machine learning to be even further augmented.
How does Darktrace handle traffic that is encrypted?
Yeah, that's another good one. Darktrace's algorithms are not affected at all by encrypted traffic. And this is because Darktrace is analyzing header information, both at layer 4 and layer 7, as input to its algorithms. For example, in a ransomware attack, Darktrace is looking at the SMB headers that are sent in the clear, so its algorithms are going to be just as effective.
You mentioned Darktrace's advanced search capability. Could you elaborate more on the flexibility of finding specific data using this feature?
Yeah, this is a really powerful feature. Darktrace provides a search capability that allows you to filter over 100 fields, such as certificate fields, operating system information, 5-tuple fields, etc. And any number of fields can be combined using Boolean operators, and these would be and, or not operators. And then also you're going to put in a date range. So you specify your date range. What's also nice is on the GUI, you can fast forward or reverse by a set time period just by clicking on a button. So you could fast forward for the next hour, day, or even week.
Thank you all for joining this webinar. That's all the time we have for today. Please be sure to stay tuned for next month's webinar, which continues our networking series. Remember to register for future webinars and catch up on any past webinars by visiting our website at www.rahisystems.com.